The Karnataka Chief Minister has taken the plunge and has called for a trust vote to prove his majority in the floor of the House. A lot will depend on the Speaker's decision on the 16 rebel MLAs who want to resign. The Supreme Court's given the Speaker the right to decide on their resignations, but also stated that their attendance can't be mandated. The numbers, though, don't seem to be in Kumaraswamy's favor right now. So what happens if the current government fails to prove its majority? Will it help the BJP to form a cobble up numbers, or will the state go for fresh elections, or is there a third alternative on the cards? Let's welcome in Narayan Lakshman, Associate Editor of The Hindu, on this conversation. Narayan, thank you so much for joining in. If you thought the New Zealand-England final was exciting, this might just do one better. What's going on? Is it inevitable that the Kumaraswamy government is done in?
I mean, Harsha, that's a perfect analogy because, again, lots of questions were raised about the new rules that were in play. And similarly here, we have a rather unusual situation where the sitting chief minister has raised questions about whether a judicial decision made in a case to which he was not party could actually be impacting the options available to him on the floor of the House. So obviously here we're looking at the question of whether he, as he has raised, the question of whether he can issue a whip or not, because effectively the court has allowed the resigned MLAs the right to abstain from the House, to not be part of the proceedings, and thereby that obviously affects the tally of the House and therefore the minimum number which will make sure, which determines whether this government stands or falls. And similarly, whether the BJP actually has a shot at maybe forming the next government. So it's a rather, from just a purely academic or legal point of view, it's quite interesting and it's all up for grabs. I think the real question that people are grappling with is, why have these MLAs resigned? What are they sticking to their guns? And yes, certainly they seem to be from the resort. Will this government actually survive through some other machinations today? But at the same time, I should add that it does not look, from what we're hearing on the ground, it does not look like the actual vote will go through today, just given the number of speeches that are going to be made on both sides around the motion.
Narayan, the magic number is 105. Even though, for argument's sake, even if this government does not, if this trust vote is defeated, that not necessarily mean that the Yediyurappa and the BJP camp has enough numbers to form the government, does it?
Well, it may not have the numbers. We're hearing that the two independent MLAs may also side with them, bringing their tally to 107. There is a possibility. But, just as an outside observer, to me, what's striking is that, the game has been brought down to the wire, from having this. Firstly, obviously, when the government was formed itself, we had the BJP was invited first as the single largest party. And then this other the JDS Congress government was cobbled together as the single largest combined. But the fact that it's come down from there right down to the wire is quite interesting to me. And I do wonder about what has been happening behind closed doors that has brought it so close to, the needle being pointing the other way. So I think everyone's kind of watching the resort and the the hotel where the MLAs are holed up and whether things will change on that count. But at this point, it's looking quite grim for the Kumaraswamy government, is what it sounds like to us.
One final question, Narayan. Where does this leave the Congress? There are reports that Siddaramaiah himself might be taking claim to form a government in case this falls. I mean, these are just at this point speculation. But what is Congress's game here?
Well, Congress actually has very few options, Harsha, because they don't have the numbers by themselves. Sure, they could seek to form another government with the alliance of what remains of the JDS or indeed any of the independents who are there. But at this point, if those MLAs who've resigned stick to their guns, it's looking like it's going to be much more in favor of the BJP. At the same time, having said that, I don't think the BJP is going to find it straightforward either, because there is a very thorny question, a legal question to be resolved surrounding the right of a party to issue a whip, as Kumaraswamy has rightly pointed out, the chief minister. At the same time, the fact that the court has given these MLAs the go-ahead to abstain. Those two things directly contradict each other, and we need a legal resolution of that position. And whether it could be in terms of the speaker having to decide beforehand on whether to accept these resignations or not. and then proceeding. These issues have to be ironed out before we can actually say we've got a predictable outcome coming towards us.